All right, so we're having Lou Hawthorne, the inventor of NaNots, a new class of medicine. But first of all, Lou, a question I'm asking everybody: how do you get into longevity?
I've been in this field for over 20 years. I used to be cloning animals. I cloned cats, dogs, horses, cattle, started multiple cloning companies. My investor also was investing in human longevity. He was the first investor to put real money into it, and I met Aubrey through him because he came to pitch our group on some of his research. That's 20 years ago.
Okay, so could you briefly explain the concept and the technology of nanots and how it differs from other approaches in nanomedicine or medicine in general?
Sure. There are multiple targets that are pathogenic that rise in blood with age and also that are associated with different diseases. There's no obvious way to get these targets out of blood. Pheresis, the extracorporeal filtration of blood, is one way to get these targets out, but it's very invasive. What we've developed is essentially molecular apheresis, something you can inject into the body that will capture and clear a soluble target, but has no effect whatsoever on any cells.
And how can we be sure that these nanoparticles won't do any harm in our body?
Well, first of all, we're only depleting molecules that don't belong in the body in the first place. Certainly not systemic. For instance, inflammatory cytokines, which are normally released by an immune cell against a target cell, like a virally infected cell, over very close distances, those molecules, those inflammatory cytokines, should never be elevated systemic. If they are, that's indicative of an inflammatory disorder. We will put nanots in that are biochemically programmed to deplete those inflammatory cytokines. They will only deplete the systemic levels. They will not interfere with an immune cell delivering it focally against an aberrant cell.
And what applications could this technology have in the future? So against which diseases?
Sure. So we take all diseases and divide them into three categories. There are intracellular diseases, diseases inside a cell. That includes all genetic disorders and metabolic disorders. We actually think that's probably no more than 10 to 15% of disease. All other diseases are in two categories: inflammatory diseases, which are driven by systemically elevated non-focal delivery of inflammatory cytokines, arthritis, psoriasis, but also the acute inflammatory disorders like sepsis, which is also what kills people in a pandemic. You don't die of the virus, you die of a septic response. That's inflammatory disorders. Then there are inhibitory disorders, and those are diseases where you have a bad cell cluster that the immune system leaves alone for some reason. Why does it do that? Invariably, it's because that bad cell cluster is secreting immune inhibitors. All solid tumor cancers work this way. So does pregnancy. The fetus is only half the mother, it's also half the father. So from the point of view of the mother's immune system, the fetus is an invader, just like cancer. So what we do in treating cancer, we don't target the cell, we target the immune inhibitors that are around the cell. So nanots grab those, clear them from circulation. That creates a diffusion sink, which induces their migration out of the tumor microenvironment. Then the immune system has a clear line of sight of the tumor and destroys it.
When can we expect the first nanots to be available in the clinic?
We're 18 months away from the first injection into humans, which we'll do either through our collaboration with Mayo Clinic or with MGH in Boston. And then after the first use in human, it's at least another year. So I would say 2.5 to 3 years.
Great. Thank you for taking it.
Yeah, my pleasure.